Hi, my name is Tiara Sonita, and this is my reflection video for World English's final project. We will discuss about this topic that I already picked with several questions. Okay, let us start. First question, what topics are interested the most? Why? In my opinion, the most interesting topic is native vs non-native speakers of English. We had a research regarding to this topic earlier for our midterm test, and I'm much interested to this topic. I never noticed that there's a huge perception between native speakers and non-native speakers. Generally, people will choose native speakers rather than non-native speakers when it comes to teaching or any general activities relating to learning language. This case called native speakerism. It's funny how people didn't realize that they are part of this native speakerism. They don't even know what native speakerism is. Okay, next question. What is your selected topic? My selected topic is native vs non-native speakers of English. As I said before, I found this topic really interesting for myself. I want to explore and know more about it. Okay, next. Why are you interested in that particular topic? As I mentioned earlier, it's funny and somehow unique that most people will absolutely prefer native speakers in terms of language knowledge, better accent, and especially language teaching. This topic will go nowhere, but native speakerism. It's interesting how a different language background can form an ideology and a gap between both native and non-native speakers worldwide. Okay. Next, what do you know about that topic? Describe the sources or references you use in your reflections or arguments. Native speaker vs non-native speaker. As I said before, we are all know where this is going. Native speakerism. According to Adrian Holiday, native speakerism is an ideology that upholds the idea that so-called native speakers are the best models and teachers of English because they represent a Western culture from which spring the ideals both of English and of the methodology for teaching it. Further indication that the native speaker brand is an ideological construction is that the native non-native speaker distinction is not self-evident on technical linguistic or even nationality grounds. It is instead a professionally popularized distinction that has been falsely associated with cultural orientation by Kubota and Lin 2006. So we can see that there's always this assumption or opinion that said native speakers are always superior if compared with non-native speakers. This is what native speakerism looks like. No matter how much non-native speakers struggle to get any certification to compete with native speakers, people will still look up to native speakers only. It's really cut down non-native speakers' confidence. According to Kumara Fadivelu, native speakerism continues deeply and relentlessly to reduce the academic and professional status of those it labels. So, native speakerism will always occur in society. Next question. What do other essay or studies say about that topic? So, in Holiday Journal about native speakerism, he said that native speakerism is a neo-racist ideology that has wide-ranging impact on how teachers are perceived by each other and by their students. By labeling teachers as separate native speakers and non-native speakers, it falsely positions them as culturally superior and inferior with separate roles and attributes. While Western in origin, native speakerism is present across the profession and results in employment discrimination and a divisive professional discourse. The association of the non-native speaker label with deficiency is also deeply rooted within a wider and equally mistaken Western perception that people from non-Western cultural backgrounds are unable to be critical and self-determined. In Ronald Maraden Perlindungan Silalahi studies about linguistic imperialism, native speakerism from the perspective of non-native English learners' language, teaching does not only depend on the ability of lecturers to discuss, but also on the teacher's willingness to manage classes and build good relationships between teachers and learners. He interviewed 19 informants in the second session and 18 informants in the third session. And all of his informants realized that English learning was better delivered in the native context. So, next. How do you support or argue in case you have other opposite arguments to the topic or concept you have learned? I firmly disagree of how native speakerism works. Even if I was born as native speaker, I still disagree with it. It's not good how this ideology affects the world and makes them believe that native speaker is better and more superior compared to the non-native speakers. I know some people who are non-native speakers, but they have a close proficiency with native speakers. They are able to teach English language properly. So, it's not always about native speakers. We need to pay attention to non-native speakers' hard work. Lots of non-native speakers already proved themselves that they are able to teach like native speakers do. However, we can't stop this native speakerism from keep spreading around the world since it's growing within the society, just like globalization. All we can do is trying to change people's perspective about this ideology. Okay, last questions. What is your personal reflections on the topic you have learned? In my opinion, this topic is absolutely important to be learned since lots of students, or maybe adults too, didn't realize that this native speakerism exists. Native speakerism is bringing such bad impacts on non-native speakers. That's why we need to have a critical view about this. As I said earlier, we can do nothing to stop this native speakerism, but to convince people that non-native speakers are also eligible in order to be a good English teacher. So, all of the questions are already answered, and with this, I bid you goodbye. Have a good day. Thank you.